Greetings, everyone. Ooh, this one starts off a little bit kind of messy, I suppose, when it was poured in. So, here we are on the third day of doing some drop caps. And because we're doing them in specific order, we already know the next one is going to be the letter I. And this one, I don't have a perfect plan for, just because I try to do things semi-spontaneous. And by semi-spontaneous, really, I thought about it as I was making my way. And again, let's zoom in on this. As I'm making my way to sit down in front of this sketchbook. I don't know if that's going to be big enough. Let's tame this down a little bit. And we'll sweep that off. It's a little bit better, I think. We'll make it a little bit more like this. So that's what the letter I will look like for us. And I think we're going to make something kind of messy, maybe not really super awesome. I don't know, we'll see how it looks. Okay, we'll dip the pen and see if I can remember how this goes. A little like this. A little like that. Might be one of the weirdest things that I would have done, drawing wise. At least that's kind of where I'm going anyway. Now, let's see if I can get a decent representation of what we're going for here. Lots of squiggles. I think that's not so bad. A little weird nonetheless. So for many people, the upcoming festivities can be a gastronomical adventure. And it's not always fun for everyone. But it's always good if you can to see friends and family. So just take it easy. I remember in school, we used to have to do like special projects. And I remember, I think it was maybe grade 3, I did a project on the digestive system, but I made like a little comic. And the teacher thought it was so funny that I believe she made copies of it. And in those days, the main machine that we used, kind of like this spinning lithograph thing, although like certain copiers were around at that point. Well, yeah, made copies. That's kind of funny. Anyway, now you can kind of see the eye in the background here. Yeah, this may not be the greatest doodle of all time. Kind of grody. Kind of gross. It's a system that we all have and need. So, really, how gross is it? We'll exaggerate a few points here. Okay, well, I don't despise this. This might be one of the quicker ones so far. We'll add a little bit of shading there, a little bit here, a slight amount in there. Yeah. So that's the letter I. And we'll dip the pen. Just trying to think if there's something else. So that's supposed to be part of the esophagus there. And if it's, I don't know if I should have, no, let's just leave it alone. So we'll say this. Okay. It's always weird when this happens, when you write stuff down and you have like doubling of words from one line to the next. I don't always like that, weirdly enough. It's kind of like a nuisance to me. Hmm. That could have been written in italics. And I'll read this when I'm done, of course. I didn't pre-write anything down. I'm just winging it, because that's what I do in my sketchbook. I will fix some of this a little bit though, because I got a little bit off track. Now I will work with like lines, but you know, you freehand certain things, this is what you get. Like, what a difference between that end and that end, because you're freehanding it. Oh well. Ha. Now this evening I'm going to a pre-holiday gathering, and that should be fun. And I've said this to people in the past. I don't always like going. I never regret having gone. Does that ever make sense to some of you? I don't regret. I don't regret having gone. It's difficult for me sometimes to do that sort of thing. So that has nothing to do with this, and I will brighten this up because, you know, we're less than 15 minutes in, and I'll add color in a moment. But okay, let's see how this reads. It says, this is the capital I, of course, intestinal fortitude, guts. That's what it takes to stand up for what you know is right. Be the person who doesn't let someone stand alone. So that's interesting. Now we're going to add some color to this. And then we'll let it go. Now, as I drew the picture, I kind of knew that I was going to be using pink. And I remember this was a little while ago, because some of you probably seen these sort of like campaigns of like a pink shirt day. that somebody went to school wearing a pink shirt and they were bullied, and then somebody else didn't think this was right. So they convinced some of the other students, and then eventually convinced a lot of people to just wear pink in kind of like, I don't know, let's say like solidarity. And it's just a color. And it doesn't have to be something to pick on somebody over, honestly enough. Some people don't really see color perfectly. Not that any of us really do. Some of us see it a little sharper than others. So like, I don't have a problem with color blindness. And at the beginning of most videos you see, I wear amber lenses, but that's for preventing eye fatigue. And that sharpens some colors, but not all. So it can create a version of color blindness for some people. Now we're going to create a little bit of that smudge effect here. Okay. So this one might require a little bit more effort to see the eye, but you still notice it. You know that this is an eye. We get a little bit of blue, I think, for this one. For the eye in the background. We'll just work it in a little bit. Now this might be one of those things that I might do a bit more finished version of. So I'll come back to my scrapbook and look at that and go, yeah, I kind of like that. It's funny that I call it a scrapbook, because that's kind of really what I treat a sketchbook for, is like a scrapbook, and I'm pretty sure I would have said that in the past. Another reason why I would call it a scrapbook is I always have different versions of sketchbooks around. So if, let's say for example, I'm sitting in front of the TV and something just pops into my head, or if I'm out and about and something just pops into my head, I can just grab that kind of like a notepad and jot down that idea. So I don't know if that's something that you folks do. I highly recommend it. But like, for example, like I have this thing here, which is kind of fun. I mean, I collect notes in that, and this, which is like a little small sketchbook as well, and those travel pretty easily. So pen and paper is awesome to have with you if you're kind of a doodler and you want to get some ideas down. Sometimes you might see something hilarious or an idea just kind of pops into your head. All right, well, 20 minutes in, and I think that's probably good. As I said, I'll probably come back to that one in the future and do a cleaner version of it. I think that one's pretty neat. Kind of gross too, right? But I like that one. Let's zoom out. All right. Well, folks, thanks for hanging out with me for a minute or so, and hopefully we'll see you again at some point in the future as we continue this journey looking at drop caps through vowels. So we're at A, E, I. Next is O. Ciao for now.